Commerce. I'm Adam Anderson, the Chamber President. Linda is the Executive Director, and Penny is going to serve as our timer tonight. We hope this will be the first of many public forums for all of the elections that involve Catoosa. And we want this to be an open and civil discussion between the candidates and the public. But we do ask that the questions that you submit, I will ask them as the moderator, give the candidates a chance to answer the question. I ask that you keep your comments during the event to yourselves, and please not cause any scenes or have any outbursts during the event. If we do, we'll ask you guys to please step out. But at this point, I'd like to introduce everybody. For Rogers County Commissioner District 3, we have Kurt Thacker and Ron Burrows. For Rogers County District Attorney, we have Janice Stidley, Matt Ballard, and Aaron O'Quinn. For Rogers County Treasurer, we have Kathy Baker. And at this point, starting with Mr. Thacker, we'd like to give everybody an opportunity to have a 3-minute opening statement discussing their platform and any current events that they would like to bring out.
Okay, thank you. Yes, my name is Kurt Thacker. I'm the current County Commissioner for District 3. I was elected in 2006, took office in January of 2007, and since that time, our main focus has been, of course, on the roads and the bridges. We have done a vast amount of work in the district as a whole. I've been the commissioner for the Catoosa area for 2 years, and in that time we have resurfaced 161st Street and Pine, various tons of drainage and flood mitigation issues, and starting Monday morning, the Rice Street Bridge will be under construction. That was a bridge that has been down for 9 years, and as soon as I took this area, I've had it for 2 years. That was my first project that I wanted to get accomplished, and so that, like I said, Monday begins construction on that. We'll be using the salvage part of that bridge for a Safe Routes to School program later on in conjunction with the city of Catoosa. And so that's going to be a really nice project. Just the fact that bridge is over 100 years old. So it'll be a nice addition to the city. The platform is very simple. We take care of the roads and bridges. That's the portion of the job that the majority of people see. The part that you don't see, of course, is the administrative side of the courthouse and the various boards that we sit on. I personally am on about 7 or 8 different boards. One of them that I'm very proud to sit on is the Circuit Engineering District, which is a conglomerate of 11 counties, and basically what we do is we sit around and beg the federal government for money for roads and bridges. And in that process, I've been able to build 6 bridges in District 3 since I've started, and then we've also built other bridges with our own county forces, county equipment, and local money. The Rice Street Bridge, for example, is one of the Circuit Engineering District projects, and so I'm very proud of that. And I thank you very much for being here, and I also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome everybody also tonight. It's really encouraging to see this sort of crowd come out and their interest in county government. My name is Ron Burrows. Currently I'm with the City of Claremore. I manage the Expo Center. I've been there a little over 5 years. Before that, I was in retail management. Worked with 2 large retailers, Kmart and Lowe's. Worked with them in retail management for 18 years. While I was in the retail, sector. I was able to work with very large budgets that range from the smallest volume store of 15 million to the largest of 60 million. Work with a lot of employees, 75 at the smallest store, upwards of 200 employees in the largest store. This just gave me a great opportunity to work with, again, large budgets and a great rapport with people. Before that, I was 11 years in the construction industry, mainly two large retailers, or two large contractors, Wadsworth Construction and Jones Excavating. And in those 11 years, we did a lot of bridge work, a lot of road work. I feel that my experience and my education has afforded me the opportunity to work with good budget management and a team player, and has positioned me to be an excellent candidate for county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. When I ran for office in 2010, I ran the office on the motto of needing a change and doing things right. Since I've taken office, we have collected over $800,000 for our local merchants through our bogus check department. I have set up a case management system where one prosecutor handles a case from beginning to end. That allows witnesses, victims, and law enforcement to deal with one particular prosecutor. Additionally, when I took office, I noticed that there was a backlog of sex crimes that had not been investigated. We had some sex crimes that were, an allegation was made and it was still a year before it was being investigated. When I learned that, I decided that the district attorney's office needed a sex crimes investigator. It's the first time in the district attorney's office in this district that we have had a expert sex crime investigator, Gary Stansel. He has over 39 years of experience. He lends his hand throughout the community, and we no longer have a backlog. As prosecutors, we are required under the law and the Constitution to reveal when we have a witness or a person who is untruthful or has credibility issues. And as many of you know, that has happened on my watch. I will make sure that the people get the very simple issue that has been surrounding me for almost 2 years in my office. We had an officer who said that a suspect confessed to a rape, and the evidence did not show that. And we had to disclose it under the law and the Constitution. There was no evidence to support it. Each of my prosecutors that reviewed it determined there was no evidence of it. When we learned of that, I met with Chief Brown, and he requested that I meet with the city attorney, Mr. Ballard. Mr. Ballard and I met, and Mr. Ballard stated, and he did so in court documents, that this officer did nothing wrong. A federal judge has came back and said there was no confession. My office did the right thing, and we protect the people. When we made this disclosure, there was a lot of a smear campaign by a small group of male law enforcement who accused us of violating our bar ethics and stating that we committed a lot of crimes. We have been cleared by the Bar Association. A federal judge has found that the statements were inaccurate, and additionally, the multi-county grand jury has come back and stated myself and my office has committed no criminal wrongdoing. We represent the people. That is our job. We are a check and balance to law enforcement. I greatly respect law enforcement, and we have worked with them continually from the day I took office to today. They are in and out of our office, but we do have different jobs to do, and I cannot help that sometimes I've got to do things that may be unpopular, but that is my job, and that is what I'm going to do for the people.
Now's the time. Now's the time for District 12 to get a district attorney that acts with professionalism at all times. Now's the time for a district attorney that's going to stand up and stand by victims of crime. Now's the time for a district attorney that will work legitimately and collaboratively with law enforcement. Now is the time to assume the mantle of leadership in District 12. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm running for district attorney to provide steady leadership to the people of this district. You know, I grew up just down the road from here. Grew up in rural Rogers County, lived there for 15 years before graduating from Claremore High School. I have deep ties to this community. You know, it wasn't summer until you visited the Blue Whale here in Catoosa. And it wasn't Christmas until you'd taken that drive around Spunky Creek. But growing up in this area isn't just about the past. We also can talk about the future. I'm proud to say that when my wife and I made a decision about where we were going to start our family, we chose Northeast Oklahoma. We chose Rogers County to bring up our kids and our family, and it's where we decided to make our home. I have 3 children, and they're the ones that have inspired me to step out and leave a comfortable position and do something to make our community better. I'm inspired by those 3 kids. I could be with them tonight, but there is no more important place than I could be than right here speaking to you. Because the decision that you'll make on June 24th is an important one. But it's not just about my background, it's not just about my ties to Rogers County. I'm the candidate with the experience and the knowledge to take us in a different direction. Out of law school, I went to work for the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office, largest DA's office in the state. And the reason I did that was that I knew I could bring that experience back to anywhere else in Oklahoma and succeed. Last year I was there, I was a special victims prosecutor. Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent my career standing in court, standing up for victims of crime, standing up for people and citizens of the district. That's my background and that's my vision for where we're going to take the District Attorney's Office in District 12. I'd like to leave you tonight with some positive words, because we are going to move in a positive direction. We have great law enforcement here. I was pleased to see Chief McKim here. Pleased to see Chief Stan Brown here. We have positive law enforcement. We have good law enforcement. And what they need is a district attorney that will stand behind them and represent the people of this district. I'm proud to be running for district attorney. I'm going to take this county and this district in a different direction. I'm going to provide steady leadership to District 12. Thank you.
Ms. O'Quinn?
Good evening. My name is Erin O'Quinn. I would first like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for Catoosa for hosting this forum and for the invitation to be here. I'd like to give you a little bit of background on myself. I grew up down the road in Inola. I'm a graduate of Inola, went on to OU and got my bachelor's degree, and then went to TU and got my law degree. After graduating from, while in law school, I interned for the Rogers County District Attorney's Office, primarily in the civil division. After graduating, I hung up my own shingle and primarily focused on the representation of deprived children that were abused or neglected. And after doing that for a while, I was asked to serve on several contracts for the Public Defender's Office, which is, we call it OIDS, which is the Oklahoma Indigent Defense System. And I did that in several counties. In 2003, I was asked to serve as Special District Judge, and I did that for 10 years. While serving as Special District Judge, I did a variety of dockets, including criminal dockets, misdemeanor trials, misdemeanors, traffic, felonies, drug court, community sentencing, mental health court, protective orders, and I did those in all 3 counties. We had a very high caseload in Rogers County. It is the most populous county of all 3, and I started going to Bonita, to Craig County, and to Pryor, Mays County. Still with those responsibilities, we were at my office with 2 staff members, was able to go and go through 400 cases a week. So I'm used to hard work. I'm used to being organized. I'm used to being a leader. I'm used to running an office. And as far as the prosecution of cases, I've observed problems with those cases. That's why I'm running. There's obviously a breakdown in communication between law enforcement and the District Attorney's Office. There's a breakdown between the District Attorney's Office and the public. There's a breakdown between the District Attorney's Office and the victims. These are all important jobs of a District Attorney. Plea deals should be negotiated based upon the strength or weakness of a case, not whether or not we like an officer, not whether or not we like a defense attorney. They should all be measured by their merits. That's not happening right now. They're very inconsistent in their plea deals. Witness preparation could be better. know government is a force that's very strong and powerful, and it shouldn't be twisted to benefit a few. It should be applied across the board in a straightforward, independent manner, so that people understand that when they come into your office, they're going to be treated just the same, no matter what part of the county they're from, no matter their race, religion, or political beliefs. I feel that I'm the one that is most experienced for this job, with my reputation, getting along with law enforcement, business owners, and the public. And I ask for your vote on June 24th. Thank you.
Ms. Baker?
Well, it's great to see everyone here tonight. It's good to be back in my hometown. I appreciate each and every one of you taking time out to come listen to us tonight. I guess I'm a seated age before beauty tonight, so I'm going to date myself back to 1971, graduating here from Catoosa High School. Received Most Athletic and Student of the Year awards. Was thankful for the Chamber to have this tonight because they represented and helped me as the first Miss Port of Catoosa, and was crowned, and then I went on to the Miss Oklahoma pageant, where I represented my hometown. I'm very proud of that title. It's always great to come back home, as they say. But being your county treasurer, I worked in Tulsa County for several years, 5 to 6 years, before I came here to Rogers County. I actually played ball up at CJC with a basketball scholarship, and went on to obtain my associate in accounting. So very proud to have been up at the college to do that and receive that from Rogers State. Again, I had 12 years of county treasurer experience before I ran in 1991, and I've been serving you for almost 24 years. I have over 35 years of accumulated total of treasurer's experience. Along with my staff, we have over 175 years. Very proud of that. I've been very proud to be a public servant to the county, and I appreciate you all tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming out here tonight. Just to give you a little background about myself, I'm a small business owner. I've owned a business for 5 years here in Catoosa, and I'm actually been part of the Catoosa Chamber for over 2 years, so it's a really wonderful thing that the Chamber would be hosting this evening. I'll also give you a little more background. I cut my teeth in the political process back in 2004 when I was on staff for Dr. Coburn's race. I was the Tulsa area director for the volunteers. Had to recruit 68 volunteers at our peak last month of the campaign. And so I got to manage those, and we got to have a wonderful victory back then. I'm disappointed that he's retiring, but he's been a good representative to us. So that being said, just to give you a background, being a business owner gives you a good idea about service, because if you don't serve your clients well, they aren't going to hire you back, and then you will have to hold your business. So when you have to do that in the private sector, it's going to transfer to everything that you do throughout life. You know, a couple months ago, there was a state audit report that came out about Rogers County. I could focus this race on the findings of that audit, on the inadequate internal controls over placement collateral, the inadequate segregation of duties, or I could focus it on the use of county property for personal use. But I'm not going to do that, because Rogers County needs to move forward. We need to have fresh ideas. We have a new courthouse, and we need to take it in a positive direction. So what will I do? First of all, I'll show up for work every day of the week. Second, I plan to hire on a CPA to be on staff within the treasurer's office. How many private companies out there have $1 million budget that do not have a CPA on staff? Second, I'm going to take steps to answer and to fix the findings that were in the state audit report. Another issue that I'll deal with is I will remove the fringe benefits of the treasurer. I also plan to attend the county commissioner meetings that are held weekly. Why? It's because there are 8 elected officials countywide, and it's important for all the county officials to be on the same page and to go forward as a team. And lastly, I also plan to be faithful in executing tax warrants and collecting on delinquent taxes. So that's what I look forward to doing. And I look forward to fleshing out some of those points throughout this evening. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay, we're going to take a brief break while we gather any last-minute questions that anybody has, put them together, and looks like we'll start back at about 7:25. There are cookies and water and tea back at the back corner.
Turn it on.
Well, we can't see all of them. We might have to tweak it a little bit. I don't want to get up and
That could hurt.
we can always check it out. I'm recording it. That's fine. We gotta get some just for attendance.
Okay, we're going to start back up, and I want to thank everybody for submitting their questions. We only have a certain amount of time allotted for each of the candidates to speak on the questions and to speak as a group. So some of the questions we're going to combine. Some of the questions were directed specifically at one candidate. That wouldn't be fair in this setting to address that question to them when the other candidates are here to discuss all of the issues. So I'm going to start out with one question that is actually addressed to all of you and ask each of you to answer that question, starting with, again, Mr. Thacker. This is a question that was submitted multiple times and multiple types of questions, but how long have you been a Republican?
When I registered to vote, I've always been a Republican. I should just say that. That's the short answer. Since I think I registered when I was 19, so most of, or all of my adult life.
I too have always been a Republican, voted in my first presidential election to Ronald Reagan, so I've been a Republican since then. Most of you should know about when that was.
I became a Republican approximately about a year and a half ago. My family, my mom took me down to register. She was a Democrat. My father was a Republican. That's the way our house grew up. My family has never voted a straight ticket. I never have either. I vote for the cause. I vote for the person. So I changed it. It was approximately about a year and a half ago. Is that correct, Celicia? Is that about right? I have to check. Okay.
I've been a conservative my whole life, but it wasn't until the events of this last presidential election that I finally decided that I needed to make the switch to the Republican Party. I was registered a Democrat out of high school when I first turned 18. It became independent. Wasn't terribly involved. Partisan politics on a local level. Certainly was more conservative on a national level. And it wasn't until I saw what was happening at a national level that I realized that we needed conservative leaders at the local level. We need people with conservative values, and so what I've been telling people is that I'm first and foremost a conservative. I'm a faith and family conservative. I believe strongly in the power of family and the importance of family, and I believe in the importance of faith. And I tell people on Sunday afternoons, or Sunday mornings I'm in church, Sunday afternoons I'm with my family.
Well, I don't want to date myself. But I will tell you that I registered as a Republican as soon as I could when I turned 18. My birthday's on July 3rd, so the holiday there, probably sometime after the holiday, I registered as a Republican. T.O. Riggs was the tag agent there, and I know him. He was also the one that registered you. He was a staunch Democrat, didn't like it. I do remember that. So, but I come from 3 generations of Republicans, and I've always been a Republican.
Well, I've been new to the party about a year now, and my family were Democrats in the 40, 50 eras. My father was county commissioner. But as the years have evolved and the core of my values have aligned more with the Republican Party, I'm glad to be part of it, and I thank you all.
All my life. My mother is back here in the crowd, and growing up and watching the news, my mom and my dad, they would run ideas past me and think, well, there's another side to this story. So growing up, I always had a thoughtful mind, a thought-provoking mind, and because of that, I do hold strongly to the conservative viewpoints, and because of that, I've been registered ever since I was 18 with the Republican Party.
Thank you very much. Our first set of questions will be for the county commissioners. And Mr. Burrows, we'll let you answer the first question first, and then Mr. Thacker. In the most recent bond issue, there was a percentage of money to be applied to the lawsuit settlement against Rogers County. If the sales tax increase was supposed to be enough to pay for that settlement, why was it enacted? But specifically the question is, what do you think about additional bond issues to pay for settlements once taxes have already been raised to pay for that?
Well, I am definitely not a proponent of tax increase. I mean, bonds or taxes, and you know, it's hard enough to get along. I know folks are working hard to make it happen. So really it comes down to being smart. Smart with the money the first time you go around. Make sure that it's utilized the way it's intended to be utilized. If there's additional money left over, then that needs to go back in to help expedite paying off the bonds rather than taking out any additional bonds for additional burdens.
Could you repeat the question, please?
During the most recent bond issue, it included a percentage of money to be applied to the lawsuit settlement against Rogers County. If the sales tax increase was supposed to be enough for the settlement, why did the bond issue include additional funds?
You're referring to, I believe, the judgment that was brought against Rogers County, something that happened 18 years ago. The bond was passed because the law said that if you don't pass a bond issue, then it goes to ad valorem taxes, which has to be paid off in 3 years. So your homeowners, or your ad valorem would have went up tremendously, and it would have been paid off in 3 years. Any excess money that's drawn on that is sitting there when the bonds are called at the end. So bond issues are very complicated, but I think the gist of that question is, where's that excess going? And the excess is sitting there, so when the bonds are called, then they will be paid off. And that's what is actually happening there.
Okay. Mr. Thacker, we'll let you go first with this one.
Yes, sir.
There is a free dump site in District 3. Do you have, or do you know of any plans to close that dump site?
That's a great question. When I first became your county commissioner in 2007, we would get calls about 3-4 times a week to go out and pick up a mattress, a big screen TV, a couch, whatever it may be. I'd have to pull guys off of what they were doing and go pick up various items. One day, I said if I could get people to bring the trash to me instead of having to go get it, that would be a plus. I investigated that, and through the Association of County Commissioners, every year since I implemented this program, we receive about $10,000 to pay for those dumpsters. I have no plans whatsoever to close it, because since I implemented that, we get about 2 calls per month to go out and pick up big screen TVs, couches, mattress, whatever it may be. So I have absolutely no plans. And the good part is, your local money is not paying for that entire service. It's through grants, through ACO, or the Association of County Commissioners.
I think that program is a great program. As soon as it was implemented, I did see an immediate decrease in the amount of trash that was along the side of the road. Just a good program that I think I've heard over and over again as I've been out meeting people and talking to people, that they too feel that it's been a real benefit to them. I think at that point, now we've raised the bar on being able to help eliminate the trash. Something that I would like to say add on to that is just to look to see about getting some inmate, the trustees to get out and pick up the rest of the trash, rather than sitting on a bunk reading a magazine, see if they can't get out and pick up the rest of the trash.
Mr. Burrows, I'll let you go first on this one. You spoke earlier in the opening statements about street projects such as Rice Street. What can you say that you would do in a re-election or in an election to address lengthy delays in those street projects and bridge projects?
Can only answer that from the outside looking in, not having full control of that. But I just know my management style is one that it's get her done. There is no room for, that image of county workers leaning on a shovel, 4 county workers leaning on a shovel and 1 working. I hate that image. I really do. I think the guys that are out there working it are working it hard. And so it's just a matter of just being involved and ensure that the focus is where it needs to be on projects that maybe have prolonged longer than they should have. They just drug out a little longer. And just having a real, your finger on the pulse to know which projects are affecting the greatest number of people, and put your focus there so you can go ahead and you see the best results that way when it impacts the greatest number of people, and then you just weed it down from there.
All I can say to that is I'll stand on my record. I get calls continuously where people will call and say, I need, something done. Then they call me and thank me for getting it done so quickly. Larger projects, such as Rice Street Bridge, was actually implemented, or initiated rather, by the commissioner, not even the one before me, but the one before him. And there were some issues there with landowners, or lawsuits and different things. So, it took me less than 2 years to get that project moving. Again, after it had stalled when I wasn't the commissioner over here for 9 years. So I'm very proud of that one. As far as certain projects, a lot of times you deal with ODOT, Oklahoma Department of Transportation, and when you're dealing with federal money, state money, you don't have full control of that. So, and there's a process. There's engineering, there's environmental, there's all kinds of different issues that go into a large project. So, I'd have to disagree on delays. I don't see them. And I'll again stand on my record on that one. And to one other issue, when it comes to inmate trash, that's a great program. And if we had a sheriff that would agree to that, because the sheriff has to agree. We've put it on the agenda several times. There's actually a state statute that says the county commissioners can order the sheriff to have inmates bust rocks with a sledgehammer. I believe it may be an antiquated law, but it's there. We have asked for inmate labor, and the answer has always been, well, the liability, and we don't want to do it. So that's a two-pronged question. The current commissioners are 100% for it, and now the sheriff will have to decide if he wants to do it or not.
And the next question, and I'm going to combine a few here. but it begins with, I am sure that you agree that our young people need a place to work in Rogers County when they graduate from high school and college to prevent their leaving for other towns and states. You have all publicly stated that you're in favor of continued industrial development in Rogers County. The Rogers County Industrial Development Authority has proven that it can provide good jobs. Will you commit to continuing to fund the Rogers County Industrial Development Authority in your next term? And please talk about your other thoughts on the importance of economic growth and development in Rogers County and what other ideas you may have to bring those into school or into the county. Mr. Thacker.
Thank you. Another great question. When I was first elected, took office in 2007, about 6 months into the term, a company came to us, or rather to me because it was in District 3, and asked if I could support a zoning change for their business to move to Inola. They had 75 jobs at the time. They wanted to increase it to 150. They told me what they were going to do, what they needed, and I told that company, yes, I can support that. You have to, one other commissioner has to vote for it, but typically if it's in your district, they'll do it. That company is called Parfab, and they moved to Inola when they could have moved out of Rogers County into Mays County, where they had no zoning issues or anything like that. They've surpassed the doubling of their workforce, and they're up to around 300 people now, where it was only 75 jobs 7 years ago. In the process, I received over 100 letters, and I call them hate mail, one of them from my own sister, who said, don't you pass that zoning issue, okay? I had to be for it, because those were, right then, 75 jobs that were leaving this county has turned into, like I said, 300. As far as Rogers County, the Industrial Development Authority, I absolutely support that. In fact, their director has a very profound saying, at least I think it is, you either support economic development or you don't. And so last year we gave Arceta, the entity that we're discussing here, $300,000. In fact, I actually put it on the agenda for this Monday to revisit that, to see if we can give them another subsidy or another issuance of money. And that's going to be on the agenda for Monday. And I'm in full support of that. They've done a lot of great things in Rogers County, because jobs, and most people don't equate your county commissioner with job growth. Most people see roads, bridges, ditches, mowing the cemeteries, that sort of thing. That's something that the current board has been diligently working on, is getting jobs in Rogers County and retaining jobs in Rogers County. So that's a very important issue, and we'll see Monday if I can get my fellow commissioners, or at least one of them, to vote with me on that.
Economic development is an absolute necessity within the county, absolute necessity. And you take an entity like Rogers County Industrial Development Authority, and if you don't feed that machine, you're not going to experience growth. And that growth is from the county-wide. Claremore has an industrial development authority that is worried about Claremore or working for Claremore. Arceta works for the rest of the county, those smaller communities that have different needs than a larger community. So you have to be able to fund them, and fund them regularly, in order for them to be productive for you. There was a funding mechanism that was in place that was the leftover from the courthouse bond. There was an additional amount at the end of that bond payment that was supposed to go directly to Arceta to fund that mechanism. That's the fuel to the engine. That funding source was taken away by the current commissioners. Where that money went, I have a feeling it probably went to raises, but you've taken the gasoline away from the motor that drives that economic machine. So my goal would be to reestablish a funding mechanism that would continue to drive that economic machine for growth within the county.
Thank you, candidates for county commissioner. That concludes all the questions we have currently for the county commissioners. At this point, we'll move to the other end of the table, to the treasurers. And the first question that we have is, what experience outside of your current role do you have that you feel will help fulfill your role as treasurer? And Ms. Baker, we will let you go first.
Well, experience outside of me being your county treasurer, I have served on the legislative committees along with the Treasurers Association. But outside of that, my community, I'm able to go and be part of those functions. Members of the roundup clubs, I'm able to go and help in those areas to be able to promote those items that we have, and when we're able to go out and meet people and bring contestants in to try to help them to this community, to be part of it, to enjoy and have their kids in.
Thank you very much. Well, let me just, well, first of all, Kathy, I just want to thank you for your 23 years of service and 13 or 12 years prior to that. But it's time to move forward. In some circles, someone would call someone who's been in the government for 36 years a bureaucrat. But I have been a small business owner for the last 5 years. What that does is, reiterating from my earlier conversation, it teaches you a lot about service. Because if you don't serve clients well, then you're not going to have them back, and you're not going to have word spread around you to gain more clients. Now, unfortunately, government is its own worst enemy because there's no other service to provide what it does. There's no iron sharpening iron. Government will always exist as it does, whether it has good quality service or low quality service. And so the experience of that service is very key in operating any government entity to bring the private experience into the public service. Thank you very much.
The next question we have is, what are your plans to address the state auditor's findings regarding internal controls and separation of duties? And Mr. Creedy, why don't you go first with this?
Thank you very much. Well, you know, this audit report came out that showed the inadequate segregation of duties and also the inadequate controls on pledged collaterals. I want to be very clear. These were not a one-time finding. If you go on to the state auditor website and do a search for Rogers County, you will see this last several years. I'm not sure if it goes back 10 years or something, but each year the auditor does a report on the treasurer's office specifically. And if you look at each of those reports specifically, you're going to find the same finding year after year after year after year. Rogers County is the 6th largest county in Oklahoma. A lot of rural counties have a problem with not having enough personnel on staff, which causes the lack of segregation of duties. But this is Rogers County, the 6th largest county in Oklahoma. I mean, to say that we don't have enough personnel to have a segregation of duties is not quite accurate, and we need to fix that, and I'd be glad to go in there and take care of that for you.
Well, segregation of duties is something that Rogers County, along with almost 75 other counties that do not pass the segregation of duties. There's only 2 counties in the 77 that pass, and that's Tulsa County and Oklahoma County. So for our treasurer's office and other offices in the county, we are allotted just X amount of dollars for personnel. So as long as we keep that down, then our county budget can go for other things than for personnel. Now, what we have in place to help and to be in compliance is we have now set up a monthly committee to kind of keep track of how each office is doing, what you're doing to get in compliance. Again, we have cross-training in my office. There's people who can do the other person's job, but there's no one that can sit in just that one position at one all day long. So, but again, we're working toward making it as much compliance compliance with auditors that we can.
And our final question for the treasurer candidates is, what can the treasurer's office do to help increase county funding sources? And Ms. Baker, will let you go first on that.
Well, what the treasurer's office can do to increase funding is, of course, being the collector of the 72 million tax base that we have. And so what's in place to achieve that is, at this time for your 2013 taxes, over 69 million of that has been collected. So what we diligently do is, of course, at this point, is getting ready to have our 4-year tax sale. When we have our 4-year tax sale, that will generate more revenue and increase more of the funding for the office. Also, what's going to be in place for more funds to come is tax warrants are going to start being issued in July. That's not going to be a popular program, but I sent out letters of intent back in October, so that will generate more funding too for the office and the county.
Thank you very much. To be honest with you, the best way to do it is to go after those who haven't paid their taxes. And I'm very glad that you are taking the initiative now with sending out the tax forms. But as I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, but those haven't been sent out in the 23 years that you've been the treasurer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. And in the last 4 years, or maybe, no, excuse me, the last 7 years, and the last numbers that I saw in regards to the last 7 years, because they only keep records up to 7 years, it was that we were deficient about $1.5 million. How many teachers could we put in schools with that much money? How many extra sheriff's officers or vehicles could we put on the roads? And then the thing too, to think about this, if that's only the last 7 years, what have the rest of the last 16 years been? How much money has Rogers County not received over the last 16 years because businesses and personnel have not paid their taxes?
Thank you very much for your answers. And now we will move on to the district attorney. And for the first question, we will begin with Ms. Stiley. What are your thoughts on the proposal on the ballot regarding liquor sales on Sunday?
Well, that caught me off guard. Really?
That's it,
Okay. Well, I mean, that's why it's to the vote of the people. That's what it's about. I don't think what I think about it as the district attorney matters. It's about what the people think. And that decision is going to be made on June the 24th.
Sure. Well, the charge of a district attorney is first and foremost to enforce the law. So what that means in regards to our position on something like this, I think we're going to get some agreement here tonight. We thought you'd see that. But I think absolutely this is something that the people should decide. Vote your conscience on it. I know from my position as a city attorney and working with local government, I know the tax and the extra income that comes with that. I also know, as a former prosecutor, the hardship that comes with liquor. And so I think that's something that I'm pleased to see that citizens of our community can decide on their own. I encourage everyone, go out, vote, make your own decision on that.
Well, if it passes, I would call it job security for the district attorney's office. We'll still be glad to file those DUIs. We'll still be glad to prosecute the public intoxications. We'll still be glad to find those people who are serving minors when they shouldn't be. So that is my opinion on it. We'll still support law enforcement in making those arrests. We'll support the victims' families should they fall victim to a drunk driving accident. But we will obey the law, and we will continue to prosecute them. That's
first with this question. Do you think it is necessary or should be necessary to take action on county employees that misuse county equipment, funds, or other county items for personal use? If so, what do you believe should be done?
Well, I believe first and foremost that an elected office doesn't belong to the person that holds the seat. It belongs ultimately to the people. And as a position of the people, it should be held accountable by your district attorney. You need a district attorney that you know is going to stand up for corruption, that's going to root out bad acts, and that's going to provide proper legal advice to the county government. You know, a lot of people don't realize the importance of the civil side of what a district attorney does. I've talked to you tonight about my experience as a special victims prosecutor, and as a prosecutor that has worked to fight drugs, major crimes, homicides. But the other part of my career has been as a civil attorney. I'm currently city attorney in Claremore. My firm represents the city of Catoosa. Our firm represents in total about 350 school districts throughout the state. And a background like that is what you need in a district attorney that's able to provide legal representation to the county officials. You need a district attorney that's able to tell a county official when they can do something, but more importantly, that will stand up and take a stand and tell a county official when they can't do something. And if you don't have a district attorney with that experience, you start having problems. You start having county officials that aren't getting the good legal advice that they need to do their jobs, and you start having a breakdown. So to answer the question directly, yes. I believe it is absolutely incumbent upon a district attorney to prosecute cases as they find them, to root out corruption no matter where it is, and to remember that these offices are held first and foremost in trust for the people who put them in. And if that trust is violated, it is incumbent upon a district attorney to root it out and to bring charges where charges are deserved. And as your district attorney, I'll absolutely do that. You have my 100% commitment to prosecuting the law, to following the law, and to just doing the job of what a district attorney needs to do, and that is prosecute cases.
Yes, sir.
If the law is violated, we're going to prosecute it. It's that simple. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Cases are presented to us that involve our own elected officials, then obviously we'll make a referral to the Attorney General's office to have them bring in outside prosecution for those county officials. It happens. It's not pleasant. It's difficult. Someone that you may know, that you've known for a long time, that you worked with. But if the law is violated, the law must be followed. It's a no-brainer. This isn't rocket science, people. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. We'll just follow the law, prosecute them, and move on down the pipe.
Ms. Snyder?
Well, this may surprise you all once again. I agree with both my opponents. I have in fact come into that. It was a couple of years ago when it was Celicia and the Progress that came to me stating, hey, I think there were crimes committed. Although by statute we represent the commissioners and we give them legal advice, our first and foremost job is to prosecute. I had them investigated. Commissioner Thacker knew that, Commissioner Hell knew that. I had that done over 2 years ago. OSBI was called in. I even sent OSBI right to the Progress because they did all this research. That has been sitting in the Attorney General's office now for approximately 1.5 years. What they're doing, I can't tell you. But that is my job, and that is what I do. I never held media conferences about it. That's not what you do. You want an investigation done. You don't want things compromised. So I've done that. With the latest audit that came out, all of those allegations had already been investigated because it was brought to my attention. When the public brings something to me, I will have it investigated. But where you run into a dicey situation is when we give legal advice. Because it was found on some of the allegations against the commissioner that my predecessor literally wrote letters stating, giving them legal opinions that we don't necessarily agree with. So what I do is I have it investigated, but I will send it to the Attorney General's office for either them to prosecute or to give to another district attorney. Because I don't want the people or other officials to think that there's any bias in my office because we represent the county commissioners. David Iskey is the first in this district to have the civil experience that he's been able to bring. He has over 25 years of civil experience. He worked in Tulsa County for Tim Harris, and we were fortunate enough to get him in when I took office. There were issues with people were questioning, one of them the progress, thinking we were giving out bad legal advice to our commissioners. We're allowing them to break the law. So you know what I did? I went around to every commissioner because they are our client, and I asked them, would you sign a waiver of your attorney-client confidentiality and let me give every legal opinion we've written to the progress? Everyone signed it without hesitation, and we gave every one of those over. That was well over 2 years ago. Mr. Iskey writes a legal opinion like an attorney general writes an opinion. When you give him a fact pattern, he is going to write it, and he is going to write it thoroughly. We have many times told commissioners, you can't do this, you can't do that. We represent 9 of them. We have 3 different counties. And they respect our opinion, and we appreciate that. But I have done my job, and I've done it zealously. I just didn't cause a media frenzy when I did it, because that's not what it's about.
Thank you. So, Brandon, you be the first on this one. Given that the district attorney represents multiple counties and within that multiple cities, do you feel that you can impartially represent all of those counties and equally represent all of those counties and all of those cities within those counties?
Well, as I stated earlier, in my experience as a judge for 10 years, I did travel to the other counties, both Mays and Craig County. Mays County, at one time, I was going every Friday. Craig County, I was going every other Thursday. So I am familiar with their needs in all 3 counties, in addition to my home county that I was based out of. I do know all the law enforcement agencies in all 3 counties, and I know their chiefs or the sheriffs. I have a good working relationship with them. I know the business owners. I've met citizens while on the bench and while out on the campaign trail. With the adequate funding, and if elected, we plan to seek further grants to bolster our funding. We can provide adequate representation. We can also, if for instance, Craig County generally has 1 assistant district attorney assigned up there. If we see that there's a need during a jury term or there's a lot going on, we can send one of the assistants from one of our other counties to go and help out on a need basis. So that is not a problem. That is something that I look forward to. It is something that I'm used to. It's something that I'm experienced with. And as your next district attorney, feel confident that not only will Rogers County be represented, but Mays and Craig will as well.
Oh, could you repeat the question?
Yes. Given that the district attorney handles multiple counties and multiple cities within those counties, do you feel that you can fairly represent all 3 of those counties and all of those cities within those counties?
Yes, I've done that. And we have been doing that. As Ms. O'Quinn has stated, we have always rotated prosecutors. Craig County does have 1 prosecutor. When we have jury terms where we have multiple cases, you have to understand, especially in Craig, you have 1 judge that tries it. So, you know, you have 1 judge with 1 jury. We've actually requested, especially here in Rogers County, we've wanted to broaden the jury terms so we can get several more trials done and have cases going faster. We've always done that. My prosecutors move throughout the district, help out wherever we can. We're not islands, we're a unit, and we work together. We have provided training throughout the district. Our lawyers, between all of our lawyers within our office. We have over 156 years of experience to offer. Mr. Iskey has given civil training to the commissioners and to different county elected officials that want them. Gary Stansel, who is state recognized, has given extensive training to law enforcement, especially regarding sex crimes, to get those cases as strong as we can, because they are one of the hardest cases to try, and those are typically the ones that we do try because they are so difficult. Not only does he do it within the district, but he does it within the state. He travels throughout with the Attorney General's office, and our attorneys do the same thing. We have put on trainings with the different law enforcement agencies, letting them know what we need better to prosecute a case. What are the local issues going on in the courtroom? How are judges ruling? What are defense attorneys arguing? So we give that, always have, and will continue to.
Well, I'm a product of Northeast Oklahoma. I lived the first 15 years of my life in rural Rogers County. We lived on one of those gravel, dead-end dirt roads down by Oolaga by the lake. I've lived last 3 years of my high school career. We moved to Claremore. I lived in the city limits of Claremore. After law school, I went to Oklahoma County, so I've lived and practiced law outside this district. And I bring that experience with me. The bottom line is, crime doesn't stop at the county line. Crime doesn't stop at the city limits. It doesn't matter which side of 145th you are here in Rogers County. It doesn't matter as you cross into Mays County. It doesn't matter as you cross into Craig County. The simple fact is, crime is regional and needs to be combated on a regional basis. I'm proud to say that I've been throughout this county, and I've received endorsements from the fraternal orders of police in each of the largest police agencies in each county: Claremore Police, Pryor Police, and Veneta Police. And the reason for that is because they understand and they know that I'm willing to work district-wide to combat crime. As city attorney, I've helped and assisted our police chief and our police force to develop interlocal cooperatives. I know how important that is here in Catoosa, where you have interlocal cooperatives and cross-deputization agreements with the Cherokee Marshal Service. Those agreements are absolutely critical, and I've spent my career working on those. One of the foremost things that I intend to do as your district attorney is to begin looking at interagency and looking at multi-jurisdictional crime fighting. You know, Claremore has resources that Catoosa doesn't have. Catoosa has resources that Oolaga doesn't have. Pryor has resources that Claremore doesn't have. And you need to marshal those forces together and use them district-wide. The simple fact is the district attorney's office can serve as the hub for all of that. They can serve as the hub that provides training for law enforcement agencies, that allows agreements to be in place, that can suggest cross-deputization agreements. And the best example I can think of this multi-jurisdictional fight to crime is a recent child that was abducted out of Tulsa. And it was 2 Claremore police officers who were able to provide the tips that solved that. And the reason that you have that is you have to have cooperation across boundary lines. As your district attorney, I will absolutely continue that. I will make that a focus and a priority of my administration. I'm proud to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is going to be a combination of several, so bear with me on this. The district attorney's office has had credibility issues with the police forces in multiple counties and throughout the jurisdiction with other county offices. Do you believe that you can continue to efficiently work with those various factions and bring them back together for the betterment of all of Rogers County? And I believe Ms. Tiley, you would be the first one for this.
Okay, could
If
you
I'm
give
not on my count. We've got 3 this time, so.
Okay, could you give me the last part of the question? DA's office has had credibility issues in multiple counties and what?
And with multiple organizations within those counties.
issues are. Like I stated, it's a real simple issue. We have a duty to do under the Constitution to protect the people, and there were some officers that didn't like that. We've been validated with that. So if that's a credibility issue, there's nothing I can do about that. I've shown my credibility in that I've stood up and I've stood up to the people. Our local sheriff was just on the news the other night when back in September he said if there was nothing found in this grand jury petition which he signed, he would sit down and shut up. But he was on the news again the other night. I can't help that. During my tenure, our sheriff hasn't turned in one report that he's investigated. So when you have a head of an agency saying that he can't work with me, that is unfortunate that they would say that. But every deputy and every officer is coming into our office on a daily basis, dealing with us, asking us questions. We're on call 24/7 within our jurisdiction, and they have not stopped utilizing that. I have many of my assistants here. Ms. Reniger is our prosecutor on sex crimes in Rogers County. She goes to trial the most because, as I stated, those are the most tried cases. She is in that office every weekend. She's there with officers prepping them. She is taking their calls, their texts. Larry Edwards, my first assistant, who has more experience than I can ever fathom to bring to this district, he is there every weekend. We work non-stop, and we have with law enforcement. So the perception that we don't work or there's credibility issues, there's no credibility issues with me. They may not like decisions I've had to do, but I can't help that. I am governed by the law and I'm governed by the Constitution. Regarding other multiple organizations, there's been rumors out there. This agency is pulled out, that agency is pulled out. I heard how the U.S. Marshal Service pulled out when they were in our office just a few weeks ago using our office, and we have been getting cases from them filing. So there is truly a misperception of what is going on. Are there some law enforcement agencies that aren't happy because of what we had to do? I have not a doubt. Look at what we've been through. We have been persecuted. But we have done the right thing. It's been validated. And we work every day with law enforcement, and we will continue to. We have not dropped the ball. There has not been any break in anything we've been doing. There's no way that a defense attorney would allow it, and there's certainly no way that a judge would allow it. We have been doing business as usual, and we will continue to do so.
Valerie?
You know, I was at a city council meeting the other night, and during the meeting it was one that involved a ceremony that I've seen several times, but it kind of struck me as a candidate in this race. It was some new officers that were being sworn in. And the officers stood in front of the city council and they were asked to take their oath of office. And I'll never forget that the last line of that oath of office was to serve and protect the citizens, their lives, rights, and property with their life if need be. The police officers who have made that commitment deserve a commitment from their district attorney. I'm prepared to make that commitment. I will 100% stand by and support our law enforcement officers and our law enforcement agencies. As a former prosecutor, I've worked with police officers. And I tell them, you know, we won't see eye to eye on every issue. I can't tell you that every officer that walked in walked out with a meeting of the minds. But you know what we always knew? We knew we were on the same team. We knew that we were working for the same goal. We knew that we were trying to accomplish the same thing, and that is to get dope off the streets, to put bad guys in prison, to stand up for the victims of crime. And even when we don't see eye to eye, and you don't see eye to eye with police officers all the time, and even when I'm telling an officer that I'm not going to take a case or that I need more information, you know, at the end of that, I've had heated exchanges with police officers that ended with a handshake. And the reason for that is there is mutual respect. And that's what we need in the district attorney's office. It's time that we had a district attorney that acts in a professional way at all times. Not some of the time, not part of the time. A district attorney that maintains their composure and acts with professionalism and respect at all times. And that's another commitment that I'm prepared to offer you. As I've said, I'm fortunate to have the backing of police officers, Pryor, Claremore, and Veneta. And the reason for that is that they understand that I will be a candidate that will stand behind them and that will support them. As citizens of this county, you deserve a district attorney that will work with law enforcement. And the first thing that you're going to have, that you need to be able to do that, is to recognize that there's a problem and to move forward with fixing it. And that's what I'm interested in doing. Moving forward and restoring leadership to the district attorney's office.
I'll tell you what the issue is. The issue is when law enforcement's out there protecting us and protecting children and protecting the elderly, and they're out there on the streets, and if they get in a shootout, they don't have the confidence that they're going to be backed by the district attorney's office. We ask them to go out there and put their lives on the line for us, and they do not have that confidence. And it has happened, and they didn't call the DA's office, they called OSBI to come in. I'll tell you about credibility. Yes, OHP has pulled out part of their unit, and they're driving down to I-40 every day. They're not working interdiction on the turnpike anymore because they don't like how they're being treated by this district attorney's office. Are there bad cases out there? Yes, there are. Are they all bad cases? No, they are not. Is there problems with some members of law enforcement? Sure, there is in any profession. Are they all bad? No, they are not. So to paint them with this picture is one of the reasons I got in this race. It's unfounded and it's unfair. Cherokee Marshals don't want to work in our area either. They have some of the best resources available to them, and we've lost those resources. We've also lost the Drug Task Force. We do not have an active Drug Task Force team in the 12th District. We used to. They used to be very active. And if you're not familiar with the Drug Task Force, that is comprised of various members from every agency. And when they're working a certain area, they all come together. They bring their resources, they bring their manpower, and they work together. We need that Drug Task Force back on the streets. We need to send a clear message to the citizens of our communities and our towns and our rural areas that these guys are out there to protect us and that they have the support of the district attorney's office behind them. They don't call the district attorney's office for legal advice. I still get phone calls from them. Of course, I have to give them a disclaimer. I'm not your attorney yet. You know, as a judge, I ruled against law enforcement. I ruled against them many times. I had to follow the law. Those are the rules that we play by. We didn't always disagree. I wouldn't say we had a cussing contest, but it might have come pretty close to it after the hearing. You know, they see it one way, and I saw it another. I can only rule on the evidence that was presented in front of me. And that's how we pick and choose on these cases that are presented to us as well. Are there issues with the district attorney's office? You bet. Over 7,000 people thought there were.
That was the last question that we had for the district attorneys. At this time, we would like to give each of the candidates an opportunity for a closing statement. We've asked them to limit their closing statement to 2 minutes. And again, we'll start at the end of the table, but at this time, we will give Mr. Burrows the ability to go first, and then Mr. Thacker can give his closing and respond if necessary.
I personally really enjoyed tonight just seeing the number of people that come out just to be involved in county government. It's very reassuring to know that that there is people in our community that really will get involved and get active. For me, I like to stand on my education and my experience, 30-year work history of working with budgets, working with large volumes of people over the years, hundreds of people, and having the experience that it takes to manage a multi-million-dollar business, basically. I mean, you look at the funds that are brought in Rogers County, 6th largest county in the state, there's millions of dollars at stake. I've done that for years. I've been successful at it in every business venture that I've ever been involved with. My involvement with the community has just demonstrated that. I get involved with groups that I feel have the ability and are able to make a difference. That's always been a passion of mine. My service to our country has demonstrated my love for this country, and I'm proud of that. And I just hope that on June 24th, you'll give me the opportunity to be your next commissioner. Thanks.
Mr. Thacker.
My philosophy is very, very simple when it comes to being York County Commissioner. My belief is if you believe that I'm doing a good job for you, you'll rehire me. If I'm not doing a good job for you, then I don't need to be here anyway. I will stand on my record of what I've done over the past 7.5 years. I am told frequently by a lot of different people, I wouldn't have your job for all the money in the world. I'm about ready to endorse him and let him have it. No, I'm kidding. I would do this job for free if I had to. The reason being, I get to help a whole lot of people that don't necessarily talk the loudest, make a lot of noise. There are a lot of good people out there in District 3 and Rogers County as a whole. I work for District 3, number 1, and the county as a whole, a very close second. Now, I'm asked occasionally, why can't you get along with the other 2 commissioners? I'll tell you why. If we always agreed on everything, then 2 of us are unnecessary. That's why our system is set up like it is, where the board as a whole gets together, makes decisions. We handle the budget. We balance that budget every year. Unlike the state and federal government, who go into debt every single day for that matter, the county budget, not only is it a state law, but it's good business. We balance that budget, and that is why county government can stretch a dollar farther than any other governmental entity, regardless of what you hear or what you read. I'm told by even my own employees that they said, I don't know how you make this work with the amount of money that you have to do it with. That's not just me, that's every county commissioner in the state of Oklahoma, other than Oklahoma County and Tulsa County, because they've got a tremendous amount of money. We here at Rogers County, and I'm done because my time's up. So thanks for coming by. Sorry.
For the district attorney's closing, we'll start with Ms. O'Quinn.
I'm running for this office because I'm one of you. I'm not trying to use this office as a stepping stone to go on to some higher office in Oklahoma City. I'm running because I genuinely care. I'm not going anywhere. I work here, shop here, worship here. I truly am concerned about the future of our counties, and that's why I'm running. I also have endorsements, and I'm not going to spend my 2 minutes giving you those endorsements. They're on our website. But I would point out to you the endorsements that my opponent, Mr. Ballard, has also endorsed the incumbent the last time, and you see where that got us. God put me on this earth to be a public servant. I've been doing it all my life. I believe it's important to protect those people who can't protect themselves. From children to the elderly, to veterans. I'll continue doing that. Electing me as your next district attorney will be just another chapter in continuing the public service that I enjoy doing. appreciate your attentiveness, and I appreciate the variety of questions that were posed, and encourage each of you to go to the polls on June 24th. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ballard?
Well, now's the time. Said in my opening, and I mean it. What happens in this room when you leave here and go out is going to change this community. It's going to change this district. And as voters, you have the opportunity to go out and decide which direction we're going to go in District 12. You've seen from each of the candidates. I think you see we all have a little bit different style. Some people say it's a little bit intense. Maybe there's some truth to that. But you know why I'm intense? The reason is because I believe in this race. I believe in this campaign. I believe in this community. I've got 3 kids, and I am concerned about the direction that we're going. You know, I said in response to one of the questions that the person who holds these office doesn't hold it for themselves. These are positions that are held in trust. Ultimately, it's about the next generation. And I want to know what I can leave for my 3 kids. I want them to make the same decision that I did. To go off for school and then to decide, you know, there's no better place throughout this state than right here in Rogers County, in northeast Oklahoma, to come back and raise a family. And so I take it personal when I hear that drugs are moving into our community, or that crime's beginning to spill over from Tulsa into my home, into my backyard. Ultimately, the question you have to ask yourself is, who do you want as your district attorney? Who do you want in the courtroom when you or a loved one or somebody that's important to you is a victim of crime? I'll tell you this, I will argue until my dying breath on behalf of victims of crime. That's where I've spent my career. It's where I've spent my time. I'm proud of my work. You know what you get with me. Being district attorney is not about being likable and being nice. You know, glad-handing. I mean, I hope people do like me. But at the end of the day, it's about who can do the job. And ultimately, I'd be proud to serve as your district attorney. Please vote June 24th and make that decision. Thank you.
One of our greatest leaders in our country said, "Trust but verify," and that's what our office has done. I didn't have any issues with law enforcement until January the 8th of 2013. That was D-Day for me, my family, and my office. And that is when we had to disclose on an officer. I have done just that. I've protected the people. And I have been through more than any district attorney in this state has. And here I stand. You want to talk about constant leadership? I'm standing here, and I have been leading. And through all the turmoil, intimidation, I haven't changed my mind. And I've done what is right. And that has been validated. That's been validated by a federal judge, the bar, and the multi-county grand jury. There has been a ruse, folks. And as I stated when I came into office, it was time for a change. I didn't know what was going on. I have great respect for law enforcement. I wouldn't want this job if I don't. But just as there's bad citizens, people do bad things, there's officers that cross the line. And when they do, it's my job to make sure that they are held accountable for that. And that's all I did. That's all I did. And this is what it's turned out to be. Regarding the FOP, you're right. I had every endorsement last time. And I don't know if they thought because they gave me their endorsement, I would just do what they want. But I can't do that as your district attorney, and I won't. So if that's the type of district attorney you want, don't vote for me. I am going to stand for the people as I have been, and I will continue to do my job. The FOP in Craig County, when we went up there, they said, "We don't have an issue with your office." They didn't the last time. The FOP in Claremore, I wasn't surprised that they would, sponsor Mr. Ballard. He represents the city. The FOP is paying this officer's legal bills. It makes perfect sense. I have not been terminated from a job for cause. I have not caused a city to have 2 lawsuits because of bad legal advice. I have done what is right, and it has been validated, and I will continue to stand up for the people.
tonight, and I want to thank all of you for being here. There's one person who isn't here tonight, and that's my beautiful wife, Jessica. She is at home taking care of our 2 kids. I have a daughter, Gracie. She's 23 months old. She'll be 2 years next month. And I also have a 9-week-old son. His name is Lewis. And he was 2 weeks old on Friday that I filed for this office. I filed for this office because no one else did, because there was a vacuum. You know, serving for Dr. Coburn left me with one thought that I'll always remember, and that is to have the moral courage to do what's right when no one is looking. I ask for your support. I ask for your vote on June 24th, so that we can bring new ideas to the Treasurer's Office. That way we can increase the funding of our county, and so that way we have a new direction to look forward to. It's an honor to be here. Thank you very much. If you would all like signs, I have some in the back. I also have Lisa up here. Please raise your hand if you'd like any materials from her. Sign up to help. Please see her. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you all for coming tonight. It's a great show of respect and courteousness that you all came and spent your time. Thank you to the chamber. What I like to say to you all is the vision that I do have for the County Treasurer's Office is to keep honesty, integrity, and experience working for you. Also, want to be innovative in keeping up with new software updates for the efficiency of the office, and for you all that are wanting to use the internet for it to be user-friendly for you. Mostly important is that I want to make sure that the funds are secure that come into the county. I also want to be able to have a courteous, friendly, professional office that you can come in and do your business. And also want to keep a good working relationship with the school districts, the fire districts, and all the other entities that the county works with. And mostly important, too, I want to work with all the other officials and their offices. So, for this vision to come true, I need your support on June 24th. I'm the only qualified candidate to run for county treasurer. So, I will see you all on the campaign trail. Happy trails to you, and may God bless Rogers County, and may God bless America. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it provided some useful information. Please remember that one of the most important things we have as Americans is our right to vote. If you're not registered, there are some registration slips on the back. I believe you have a few